Hey everybody, what's happening? So, going into work early today, so I thought I would do an early video here. Ooh. Someone had the radio up. It's a beautiful day here in rural Pennsylvania. Um, I'll probably just park somewhere and make this video a little longer than most of my roadside videos. But yeah, it's beautiful here today. Let me make sure I don't whack my neighbor. I have a shared driveway, really nice neighbors, but he's out washing the car today. I don't want to bump into him. Boy, there's a life flight helicopter. Yeesh. So yeah, tomorrow there's a big protest plan for Harrisburg in my state of Pennsylvania, protesting Governor Wolf, our Democratic governor, and the shutdown. I would be at that protest. I really would if it wasn't for the nature of my job. Because I do this home health care stuff, we literally can't take time off. Right now, there's one of us is taking time off, so there's only two of us that can work at the house. And because of that, it's impossible for me to get the day off. If I could, I would be at the protest. So I'll be doing my best possible job to cover it. I did do a radio interview in Williamsport here the other day, Friday, I believe, on 104.1 FM. I'm trying to get the audio of that to put up on my channel, but it was a 2-hour interview I did, and we were encouraging not only the protest to occur, but I am going to try to redouble my efforts this week to get business owners I know in my local rural area here in Clarion County, and ones I don't know, to try to contact as many as possible. And I'm going to try to orchestrate a violation of Governor Wolf's policies and encourage all of them to open their businesses in unison. I don't know how far I'll get in that, but I just want to be known to these business owners that what's happening to them is corrupt, that is against their constitutional rights. They have every right to be open. We have less than 50 cases in my county. There is no reason whatsoever that makes any sense. We have one COVID death in the entire county, and that I've heard anecdotally might not have been a result of COVID, but one of these happened to have symptoms, so they ruled it as death. COVID is the cause of death. But yeah, I'm going to do my best to encourage businesses to go ahead and open up. It is a shame that you risk legal jeopardy if you do open your business, but if every business opens, I say open them in unison and leave the governor send the state police in, leave him arrest his own people, the backbone of this country and the backbone of this state, due to their corrupt orders. Let them show that they're willing to use that force. That's what I think that local business should be doing on the same day that we're seeing these protests that occur in Harrisburg. I'll lose you for a second up here, so I apologize for that, but I'll be right back, I promise. So that's initially what I'm thinking about today, and that I'm going to try to accomplish. I talked to a business owner last evening who owns a bar, and he told me that the Liquor Control Board of Pennsylvania showed up at his bar to make sure that they're not open. So it's good to know that those employees, the LCB, are still getting paid, right? They're still able to do their job. My friend who owns a small conducting any business here, are you? I went to Home Depot today to get some stuff. So my wife and her sister are going to be doing stuff around the house this week. So we go to Home Depot. Home Depot has a limit of 100 people that's allowed in the store. Okay, fine. So we get there, and we're like 102, 103, the three of us. So we had to wait for a little, and then we went in. When we came out, there was a line of about 40 people waiting to get in. These people were shoulder to shoulder. So when you're in the store, everybody, even before COVID, you don't you don't stand right over someone. You basically space out and do your shopping like normal people. But due to the precautions because of COVID, now we only leave 100 people in the store, and the 40 people waiting outside are shoulder to shoulder. Once more showing that the precautions are actually putting people in closer proximity to each other than if you would just allow them to shop as normal. It's a metaphor for the entire government action. The cure worse than the actual disease. So, some other things that I thought were worth talking about today. I did a car video here about this Clara study where they took randomized people. It was one of the first randomized tests, and it showed that 50 to 85 times more people may have the COVID-19 virus or antibodies from it, meaning they had it at one point, than is thought currently. That means that's directly proportional to the lethality, which means if that number's anywhere near accurate, then the virus is 50 to 85 times less lethal than we've been told, which puts it right around the range of the normal flu. This also means not only is it far less lethal than we were told that the models were based off of that said millions would die if we don't collapse the economy, but it also means that the spread has been so much more far-reaching that the lockdown's not going to help. It's going to spread to places anyways. Now, one of the things that's worth talking about, people should look at any type of study or any type of model critically. That's what I suggested in the first place. Remember, though, I was told by government bootlickers on the left and the right, no, we don't have time to look at the models. We don't have time to demand the government answer basic questions. People will die. That's what I was told, right? I said, no, we should always ask questions. Now it's funny to see the same government shills on the left and right. They're looking at this Santa Clara study and saying, wait a minute, let's look at these numbers. Is there a chance that these numbers could be skewed because of X, Y, and Z? Oh, so now all of a sudden we look at the numbers. We're critical of studies. I don't blame them for being critical of this Santa Clara study. It was out of Stanford, by the way. Fine. You should. That's what you should do about everything. But isn't it ironic? Now, the same people that just told us 2 months ago, oh, we don't have time to be critical of Dr. Fauci and the models that they're using, saying 2.2 million people die. We don't have time for that. We just have to accept it. We have to accept it. And then those models were wrong, and the National Health Institute, the NHI, they adjusted their models and said 100 to 200,000 dying. And they said, oh, the reason that the number fell so much is because now we're taking into account the government policies. Then they adjusted their numbers and said 80,000 dead. Then they adjusted their number again and said 60,000 dead. So that model's been wrong 4 times now. 4 times. And we were told each and every time, you got to trust the experts. You got to trust these numbers. Oh, the numbers were wrong. Well, now we have to trust them. But when experts that these people don't like say the exact opposite, they say, well, wait a minute. Actually, our study, the first randomized test study in the United States, it shows that those models are terribly wrong. All of a sudden, people say, oh, wait a minute. We have to be critical of this study. This study we need to investigate. We can't listen to this study. It'd be a shame to listen to this study and put lives in jeopardy. That's exactly what you did. You uncritically accepted the original models that we now know were wrong, and you collapsed the economy and took people's rights away based on a lie, based on inaccurate information. Now you have the nerve to say, oh, but if a study says the opposite of that, we have to question it. Now all of a sudden we have to question the studies. You can't have it both ways. Either we accept whatever any doctor says or what any expert says, or we question them all. I say we question them all. Now, the problems that people are citing with these studies, oh, it's an outlier, blah, blah, blah. Look at Sweden. Sweden decided not to shut down. Their economic pain is going to be far less severe. Sweden, a country we would pick on for their refugee policy, a country we'd pick on for basically being socialistic and not having individual freedom. Their people aren't accepting a lockdown. That's us, the United States, us freedom lovers. That's who's accepted the lockdown, not Sweden. And all the world shames Sweden. Oh, you can't do this. Things are going to get so bad in Sweden. Per capita, you know who Sweden has a lower death rate than? Italy, Spain, the UK, all countries that had massive lockdowns. Huh? How can that be? We were told Sweden would be overran. How can they be in a better position than the UK? So that seems to go with the study that we're seeing. There's also been other studies out of Germany that suggested populations that were supposedly had no contact with the COVID-19 virus actually were showing 30 to 50% of people testing positive even though they were asymptomatic. We saw that, as I told you about a couple weeks ago, the doctor talking about the village in Italy that was the same thing, that were isolated and not exposed, asymptomatic, and yet 30 to 50% of the population showed signs of COVID-19, of having COVID-19. Almost like that Santa Clara study is not the exception, it's the norm. But just to let you know, those people, look, again, let me just be very clear. I don't mind people being critical of that study out of Stanford. That's absolutely what you should be. But the very people that told you, oh, no, we have to we don't have time to have the government answer questions. We just have to accept their models. We have to accept it. They're the experts. We have to accept it. The same people that said that are now saying, oh, what's that? A study from medical professionals that disagrees with me? Well, I think we should scrutinize and look at that. Which is all I said from the get-go. My initial stance on this was, I don't know anything. Look, I've repeated it a million times since this whole thing started. I'm not a virology expert. I'm not an epidemiologist. I don't know how many people this virus will kill. It could kill 1,000. It could kill 1,000,000. It could kill more than that in the United States. I don't know. But what I do know is this. Anytime we're talking about the government taking away our rights or intentionally collapsing the economy, at a bare minimum, we should have them answer basic questions. That's it. Maybe their actions are justified, but they should be totally transparent with the American people. That's what I said. And I was told by person after person, Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, liberal, constitutionalists, fiscal conservatives, I was told by people of all stripes, no. How dare you? You want people to die. You want them to die if you question this. That's what I was told. We can't question it. Oh, park here for a minute. Now those same people, I was like, what, are you kidding me? You're just going to uncritically accept anything? Oh, they're experts. We have to accept what they say. We have to accept what the experts say. I said, that's nuts. You should never just unquestioningly accept something someone says. Myself included. You shouldn't just accept what I say. Oh, no, we have to. You have to trust the experts. You're not an expert, Rob. As soon as the experts come out and say something opposite of what these people believe, all of a sudden they're like, well, we question this. Let's look at the models. What were the models that Fauci was using and Birx were using that said 2.2 million would die? What were those models? How were they developed? Wasn't that the British, I forget the name of it, but the something Hill, Capitol Hill or whatever study? They came out after 2 days of Britain's new policy and said, the number of Brits that'll die go from 500,000 to 20,000. They're pulling numbers out of their butt. And we were told, you can't question it. You can't question it. We see it over and over every day. New York just added 3,000 people said that they died of COVID. They didn't have proof they died of COVID. They were never tested positive, but they just assumed they did. Add those numbers to the roll. All this time I said, look, even if the crisis is real, governments across the world, it is inherent in governments of people that have power to want to exploit crisis to get more power. We know what the people, the globalists and the establishment in the United States want. They want to destroy the middle class. They want to strip people of power, have a more centralized government that leads to globalism. They want a new feudalism, like in LA and San Francisco, where the wealthy elites control things and the rest of us are all dependent on them. That's what they want. You can see it in every action they do. Every single problem that they talk about, climate change, every solution's take power and liberty away from the regular person, give it to the government. Every single time. All of their policies are about screwing over the working class. Every single time. Every time. And I said, maybe this virus is real. Maybe it's as bad as what they're saying. But you should always force the government to answer these questions before you give up your rights. Because if you don't, they'll exploit it. Even if it is a real crisis. Oh, no, you're wrong, Rob. We don't have time to answer questions. You want people to die if you want answers to questions. The very first time that an expert says something counter to what those people said, the very first time in the Stanford study, they're like, we need to question this study. We can't just accept what these people say. Go back to, and I'll be talking about this more this week, but go back to all the coverage I was doing of the Spygate fiasco and FISA-gate, right? And I said, you know how I know people are full of it and know that the FBI's investigations of Hillary versus Trump are garbage? You know how I know it? Because every single person that was okay with the Hillary investigation, the FBI said that Hillary's clear, every single person that clapped and cheered every time that someone around Trump's orbit would get arrested. And they would say, Scaramucci went down, or not Scaramucci, Cohen went down. Manafort went down. Now they're going to flip on Trump. Here's our chance. It was almost like they knew, these people knew, that the way a regular investigation goes is you get lower level criminals, charge them with the crimes you could prove, and then get them to flip on the higher people. They knew that. Intuitively, they knew that. Yes, that's how things operate. That's why the Democrats celebrated when they got Manafort. They said, Manafort will flip on Trump. Never happened, but that's what they were celebrating. And I said, isn't this proof that they know the Hillary investigation was horseshit? Because in the Hillary investigation, the first investigation I've ever seen like this in my life, the exact same people at the exact same FBI that was turning the screws on everyone connected to Trump said, we'll do the opposite with the Hillary investigation. We'll give everyone immunity. and then say, okay, would you like to flip on Hillary? Oh, no? Okay, that's it. Case closed. Yes, we have all these crimes. You deleted subpoenaed evidence. You lied to the FBI. We smashed your devices to make sure people couldn't see evidence of these lies and these crimes. But we gave them all immunity, so what can we do? You knew that it was garbage based on the reaction that Hillary supporters had and Democrats had to how the Trump investigation was going. It's the exact same thing here. The fact that so many people came back, as soon as this Santa Clara study was done, so many people came out and said, well, wait a minute, let's go through it with the fine-tooth comb. Let's see what's going on. Let's look at the numbers. We demand that this be peer-reviewed. The fact that, and they have absolutely the right, and they should do that. All of us should do that. So they're correct to demand looking at it. But the fact that those people, their gut reaction when they saw a study that went against what they believe was to say, hey, I want this peer reviewed. I want this gone through with the fine tooth comb. That's how you know those people were full of shit when they told you, oh, you just have to trust Dr. Fauci. You have to trust the Imperial College numbers. 2.2 million dead. No, you can't question them. That's how you know they are full of it. Because as soon as the shoe's on the other foot, they say, oh, I want to look into this study. That's all people like me said in the first place. We should not give the government the power to take away our rights and collapse the economy until they prove their case. And they didn't. Not only did they not answer basic questions, then they sent mixed messages. Oh, only essential businesses, my governor in PA says, only essential businesses can remain open. So, the trailer park factories, it's a big source of income and jobs here in my town. Sorry, they're out. Now, the candy store down the road, that's essential. Would the governor of New Jersey say, churches, non-essential. Liquor store, essential. Now, if this was an apocalyptic virus, why the hell are candy stores open? Why are liquor stores open? It's almost like they're making it up as they go along. Because they are. But we couldn't have, then we give them a blank check. 4 trillion. 6 trillion. 8 trillion. Kennedy Arts Center getting money. Harvard's getting money. All these schools are getting money. Oh, the Democrats want, let's give money based on minorities. You have to hire so many women. All this crap. And we're setting the precedent that it'll just go on and on and on. Now let me complain about Trump for a minute. So Trump's out there virtue signaling now, oh, screw Michigan. Screw these states that are shut down. Liberate Michigan. Liberate Minnesota, he says. Where were you, Trump? You pushed the lockdown. You were interviewing people, or you were having meetings with people like Gavin Newsom and Cuomo in New York, and you came out and said, yes, what they're doing is appropriate. I agree. You've locked down things. The people I know that couldn't get surgeries on their brain because it was considered non-essential, the hospital told me that was a federal order, not state, federal. Trump could have snapped his fingers like this and said, no, you can't shut down things like this. Federal programs will proceed apace in every one of these states, despite what the governors say. And my DOJ will be challenging this in the Supreme Court, that you're shutting down people's right to attend religious service. You're shutting down people's rights to peacefully assemble, to petition the government for grievances. You're shutting down people's right to peacefully go to work and make a living. And so my DOJ will fight it. Instead, he said, I support Newsom. I support Cuomo. We also are having a lockdown. We're going to lift the lockdown soon, but yes, we're encouraging the lockdown right now. So words are cheap, Trump. I get it. Liberate Minnesota. Here's how you liberate Minnesota. You come out and you say, Dr. Fauci's out. Dr. Birx is out. The lockdown is over. Go back to work now. We have your back, American people. We're not going to leave these governors tell you you can't go to work. And if any of you get charged for opening your businesses, our DOJ will defend you in the court of law at the state level and push it to the Supreme Court if necessary. Is Trump the worst on this? No. Clearly the Democrats are worse. Trump surrounded himself with globalists. Just like I've said a million times, they wanted to intentionally collapse the economy, and Trump fell right for the trap. That's what he did. And people say, oh, you've turned on Trump. No! Trump fell into the trap of collapsing the economy. That's what he did. And then when I tell Trump, don't do it, you're making a huge mistake. People tell me, oh, what are you, a secret Democrat? What, are you going to vote for Joe Biden? No! Look, my buddy Carlos that was on the radio show with me, he talked about if you look at this through a political lens, Again, they're going to set this up for another impeachment attempt. They're saying things like, oh, blood's on Trump's hand. The body bags are piling up because Trump protesters were just out throwing body bags in front of Trump hotels, whatever. They're trying to make it sound like this is somehow the deaths are on Trump, right? Of course, they're going to do that no matter what. I said, remember, one of the first things I said about this was the New York Times wrote an article said, call it the Trump virus before one American died. Before one American died. Which means if no Americans would have died, would they have said, oh, Trump saved us all? Of course they wouldn't have. It doesn't matter. Trump could have done everything perfect, not just to me, but to everyone. And the Democrats would still say Trump's horrible, he caused deaths, blah, 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 blah. Right, and you're right, Dan. They're going to push for impeachment again. My friend Carlos is absolutely right. But there's another level of this. Look, it's clear that Joe Biden's an infirmed old man. We'll see if they replace him. I feel they will. But it's clear the guy's infirmed. The Democrats are going to try everything and never, as I've been saying for 6 months, don't underestimate the corruption and what they're going to do. Don't underestimate it. They'll collapse the economy. Women will come out of the woodwork to say Trump raped them 2 weeks before the election. They'll do any dirty trick they can. You know they will. We all know that. Don't underestimate it. But the Democrats have a new nefarious backup plan, and that's this. Well, if we can't win the election, let's just put Trump in a position where he does all of the policies that we want. So, we're the policy of faux socialism. We want massive wealth redistribution. We'll shame Trump and have these people appointed around Trump that are pro-socialism, pro-globalism, that will intentionally that will intentionally put policies around that will give more power to the federal government, that will collapse the economy. And that's what Trump fell for. And so many Trump supporters were like, yes, if Trump's doing it, it's a good thing. You don't think that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and AOC and all of them aren't giddy? Yes. Trump just spent $8 trillion. Trump locked down the economy. He collapsed the economy. He took away people's rights. Trump literally laid the groundwork for the Green New Deal. He laid the groundwork for when the Democrats get power saying, oh, climate change is an existential threat. It's going to kill the world in 10 years, so we have to take away all your rights. He laid the groundwork for it. You don't think that they're like, yes, maybe they don't win the election. Maybe Trump wins. Do you think they really care? My rage is on Folke and company. But what good is that? I can rage against Folke all I want, and if Trump's like, I like Folke, and if all the Trump supporters say, yep, Trump's the man, we'll do whatever he says no matter what, then we now have a country of socialism, of people cheering, the very people that call themselves constitutional conservatives, cheering for our rights to be taken away based on lies, just because their guy's okay with it. I'm frankly sick and tired of turning on right-wing people that are supposedly way bigger audiences than me, that are cheering for the taking away of our rights, that are celebrating the fact that Trump did this. I go on Twitter, I see blue checkmark conservative Twitter people making videos about the economy, calling us economy bros. Oh, the economy, we want people to die as long as my 401k. Anyone who says that crap's never lived like a normal American. I live paycheck to paycheck. I'm not worried about my retirement. I'm worried about putting food on the table next week. But they act like, oh, I must be some billionaire like millionaire like Bernie concerned about my third lake house. That's not the case. Less than 50 people in my county have had COVID. 1 death. We've shut down the damn county. What am I supposed to tell my friends that own businesses that are going to lose them forever? What am I supposed to tell my friends that will lose their houses over this? Sure, they don't have to pay their mortgage this month or next month, but they're going to be so far behind if they're ever allowed to go back to work. People I know that are treated like garbage, that have worked 10, 15 years at the same job, that didn't want to be laid off, but now they are because the government told them they had to be. And so what do they have to do? Call the unemployment office here in Pennsylvania, which you can't get through to. I had a friend that called him 437 times. All day one day, marked down every single time he called him. Busy signal, busy signal, busy signal. So he called our state rep. The state rep's person that was at their office was like, I've been dealing with this all day. You just need to be patient. Leave a message with the unemployment office. There's no answering service. It's just a busy signal. Normal Americans that have to grovel. Please, government, give me money so I could sustain. It's garbage over a lie. And people were telling me, oh, why are you so upset, Rob? What rights have been taken away? And I'll leave you with this. What did I say? The biggest threat to this isn't the virus. It's not the economy. The economy is going to be way worse than the virus, the economic fallout. But the biggest threat is that we are setting the precedent that Americans, those that know best, those that know the Constitution and know the importance of the Bill of Rights, many of them are now cheering, not only cheering to have those rights taken away based on fear that's unproven, but shaming other people that are saying, wait a minute, we shouldn't do this until the government answers basic questions. The people that should know best have totally given in. Not all of them, but many. Now people are starting to wake up. Well, you can't protest, says we'll see what Governor Wolf says tomorrow. You can't protest, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's not a big deal. Oh, if we end the lockdown now, it'll be like we never had a lockdown and tens of thousands will die and blah, 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 blah. We need to be locked down for 18 months. We need to be locked down until there's a vaccine. We need to be locked down for 2 years. They don't know. We're setting that precedent. It might not be this time, it might not be next time, but 4 or 5 times from now where it becomes, every 2-3 years, oh, there's a new disease. Oh, there's climate change. Oh, it's terrorism. Shut down the economy. Shut down everything. Shut it all down. 4 or 5 times, maybe then they'll say, hey, we can't trust people to have guns at home. And people will accept, yes. Oh, you want to keep your Second Amendment? We had to give up our First Amendment. We had to give up our right to religion. We had to give up our right to peacefully assemble. We had to give up our right to go to work. We all accepted that under COVID-19. So why not give up the Second Amendment under the next virus? That's why I direct my anger to the people that should know best. Of course, Bernie bros. Of course, Joe Biden voters. Of course, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are going to be all for this. But when Trump gets on board, wait, name me one leader that's out there. Name me one leader that's out there doing the right thing. Rand Paul, maybe? Massey? Is your elected official doing a good job? Has your elected official been out there advocating for the local businesses, saying this is absurd that they're shut down? Mine hasn't. He's a Republican. That's why I'll be running in 2022. Remember this disease will be over, while the economic suffering will long be continuing. And you remember the type of people that stood up and said, this is garbage, when it wasn't popular to say it. People like me and many more people that are maybe bigger audience than me. But anyways, I head back to work. But that's where my anger is on it. So yeah, the new developments today. Let's see how this protest goes tomorrow in Pennsylvania. I wish them well. I fully support, and I'm sorry I can't be there with them. I had someone say today on a blog, they said, oh, well, if you're one of those protesters, if you get sick, are you willing to say you made a mistake and then not accept medical help? Because if you protest and then you get sick, that proves you did something wrong. Therefore, you don't deserve medical help. I said, okay, I'll take that deal as long as you people that are for the economic shutdown don't accept government financial help. If you're saying, Rob, your theory will lead to possibly someone getting sick, therefore you're responsible for that, and so you shouldn't be allowed to get health care, my counter to that is, okay, your response is collapsing the economy, therefore you shouldn't be able to get any government assistance or assistance from anyone when you go bankrupt. I'll take that deal. Meanwhile, Jefferson County, Penn Highlands, the county right next to me, the county where my family goes to the hospital, they're furloughing, Penn Highlands in the district is furloughing 600 and something employees, 24 of them from the Brookville Hospital alone in Jefferson County, that have seen a 58% reduction in people walking through the doors. Yep, because that's what we need, and that's occurring all around the country. Counties with less than 10 cases in Pennsylvania have their hospitals laying people off because that's how bad it's screwing our healthcare system and our economy up. Because no one's going to the hospital. But it's worth it because, COVID. So unbelievably dumb. But all right, I might do another video tonight. We'll see what's going on. But stay safe out there, everyone. Don't get as angry as me all the time. No, you should be more angry. But yeah, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it as always. I'll try to cover some of this protest tomorrow, but I will be at work, so I'm limited in what I can do. But thank you again as always. Stay safe, everyone. Remember, question me, question everything. Don't allow someone to take your livelihood or to take your rights away without forcing them to answer these basic questions. This will be a black stain on the history of this country, the greatest country in the history of the world, with the greatest people in the history of the world, fighting for personal liberty, responsibility, individuality, freedom. Where much of this country, without questioning, rolled over and said, please take our rights away, please collapse the economy, we're scared of the big bad bug. It's shameful. So thank you, everyone. I'll be putting more stuff out soon. I really appreciate it. As always, have a good one.